Total, non-stop action. 3 words that symbolize a professional wrestling company with rich history. 3 words that symbolize where some of the best in the world wrestle. 3 words that symbolize highs and lows, but most importantly, 3 words that symbolize a big 2025. I'm talking about TNA. So it's your boy Lonzy back with another video, and I thought to kick off the new year, let's do something different. Let's do something for the first time, which is make a video about TNA on the channel and the many things that lie ahead for the company in 2025. So with all that out the way, let's get straight into the video. When I look at the current TNA roster, one of the first things that hit me is, damn, this roster is loaded with all sorts of talents that could be world champion this year, and if not that, bound to break out for sure. Some of the wrestlers I would love to see elevated up the card would be the 20-year-old phenom Leon Slater, Ace Austin from ABC, Alexander Hammerstone, Mike Santana, and Xia Brookside. Kicking off with Leon Slater, I firmly believe this is the year he becomes X Division champion, righting those wrongs from last year and leading us into a new era of the X Division. And when we look currently on TNA's roster, nobody in my opinion comes close to being as exciting, being as unique to Leon Slater. Leon Slater is the guy that can revive the X Division and restore it back to the glory heights that it was once as before. He can be the guy that separates TNA's X Division to any other division in professional wrestling. Leon Slater is already so good right now, and just imagine him in 2025. I mean, damn, the matches he put on, like a Slammiversary in that 6-man tag match, the matches he had with Mike Bailey where he came so close to becoming champion, that was just like a little snippet, and now I want to see even more of that in 2025. So yeah, that is one thing I do really want to see in 2025, Leon Slater becoming champion. And even though that may seem so straightforward as the way I just explained it, it's really not, because the current angle of Moose just has a lot of things up in the air, and it really puts a lot of things into question as to what can happen in 2025 for TNA and the many things that can happen with that, which I'll get into later on. But yeah, Leon Slater 2025 X Division champion, put it on the checklist. That's my agenda. I'm going to keep pushing that when I talk about TNA. So yeah, now let's get on to Ace Austin and what I really want to see from him. Moving over to Ace Austin, 2025 seems to be a year where he will establish himself as a true contender to win the world title in 2026, and I see that for many reasons, with the main one being his tag partner Chris Bay is injured and may not be back for a while. Plus, it seems like TNA is already very keen on pushing Ace Austin, which I love. Ace Austin has already proven he can hang in the tag scene, the mid-card scene, as he's already been a 3-time X Division champion. He's won the tag team titles already, but now it's time to see in 2025 how he bowls with the main event players of TNA. That match he just had with Kushida on TNA's first episode of 2025 was fucking amazing. It was around 12 minutes of high-paced action, great stuff all across the board. And the more I watch Ace Austin, the more I love him, and the more I watch him, the more I believe he can be the face of TNA as a whole. TNA as a whole. I'm not talking about just the face of the X Division, TNA as a whole. When it comes to Mike Santana, there is really, like, I know I've said this about like a lot of guys that I just mentioned, but really nobody comes close to Mike Santana when it comes to like authenticity, when it comes to being a dog, when it comes to being an animal. Something about Mike Santana just doesn't give bullshit. It doesn't give false. It doesn't give like a fake persona. It gives real. It gives genuine. And that's why I believe a lot to what Mike Santana says. He was cooking Josh Alexander, and I couldn't stop laughing because it was just so damn good. And Mike Santana, for me, for TNA, was like their most improved player. He came and got signed, made a name for himself, really elevated himself to a level that he's not been at before, and I really do expect that to carry over to 2025. Where I really do believe he has a legit chance to be TNA World Champion. Not next year like I mentioned with Ace Austin, not like Leon Slater, who can be like in 2 to 3 years. I can see Mike Santana becoming TNA World Champion this year. And when it comes to a guy like Hammerstone, he started off TNA really good. He had like a trilogy with like Josh Alexander. After that trilogy, I mean, really, this really puts into question about TNA's booking. Why the fuck is a guy like Hammerstone in a tag team? I like Jake something, but why are they in a tag team? Why? That makes no sense. Hammerstone should be a monster heel. Hammerstone can go in the ring. He's not like your typical big guy who can only do a couple moves. He's like a elusive big guy. He can do a lot for being a big guy. So Hammerstone, let's drop the tag team act when he comes back from injury. Let's push him as a single star. Once again. Let's make him a monster. Let's make him an animal that is a threat to anybody that nobody wants to mess around with. and maybe he could be world champion. Like, a lot of these guys could be world champion. I can see it happening. And when it comes down to like Xia Brookside, the best case for Xia to become world champion is just being this over babyface, which she already is. A lot of people love her. She's over as hell. And I can see this being a possibility because we all know, I'm going to talk about this later on, Jordynne Grace is most likely going to leave TNA. So if Tessa becomes TNA world champion, beats Masha Slamovich, and holds that title for a while, I can see Xia being built up as like this babyface, like a Daniel Bryan, where she overcomes like the monster heel and everybody's happy for her. I can really see that happening, and I mean, I would really just love that. Xia just gives off just that babyface vibe that you really can't root against her. I mean, why would you root against her? I mean, Xia Brookside. So yeah, those are some of the things that I really want to see. And staying on the subject of what we wanted as fans, one thing we really wanted was for Joe Hendry to become TNA World Champion in 2024, but unfortunately, TNA made some very clumsy decisions, tripping over themselves time after time after time. But now, coming into 2025, they have a chance to rectify their errors and make Joe Hendry TNA World Champion at Genesis. And Joe Hendry now, like, it's a shame Joe Hendry winning now won't be as big as him winning it when he was red hot, when he was appearing on the TNA shows, when he had like his first and second shot to become TNA World Champion. But now, I mean, I really can't complain. Now is better than ever. So Joe Hendry needs to become TNA World Champion at Genesis, and if he doesn't, we riot. Joe Hendry becoming TNA World Champion would be great, but it's TNA we're talking about, and I can see them making a decision, I can see them making a choice on that same night that makes the fan base collectively lose their shit. Frankie Kazarian may end up by the end of the night cashing in on Joe Hendry becoming the new TNA World Champion for the first time ever in his career, pulling a Randy Orton from 2013 like it's Daniel Bryan all over again, which I like and dislike at the same time. Let me explain. Frankie Kazarian winning the TNA World Championship is like a bit overdue at this point, but I don't mind it, as he will most likely be like a transitional champion, most likely dropping it back to Hendry like at the next pay-per-view, officially kicking off the We Believe era. Afterwards, we could potentially see Moose use Option C as a way to get a world title shot against Joe Hendry, as we know they have a lot of history with each other, and maybe he uses that Option C for a world title match at like Slammiversary. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. It just really depends on how the X Division scene plays out with Moose as champion. But like, there's like another interesting thing that is kind of looming over my mind, which I'll kind of get into right now because I think it is very interesting. Apparently, there's rumors of TNA retiring the X Division title and Moose bringing like a new title in at Genesis. And when I heard that, I was like, first off, this is from Ringside News. Maybe it's like a shitty source. I mean, I've seen a lot of people say that it's like a bad source. Sometimes it's like a good, sometimes it's bad. But is TNA really gonna like scrap the X Division? I don't really expect that, as like the X Division is what really put TNA on the map. Think about like Frankie Kazarian, the Ultimate X, AJ Styles, that chose that match with Daniels, Joe Styles, that really is like one of the best matches of all time in professional wrestling history. So scrapping all that, getting rid of like that lineage, I mean, it really wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's TNA, Scott D'Amore got fired, like a lot of tomfoolery going around, but I really don't see TNA like scrapping the X Division title. Maybe Moose playing along with this angle, thinking he's better than the X Division, thinking that the X Division, I mean like his current title, the one he'll bring in, is like the actual world champion, and maybe that leads into a match, like I said before, and with him and Joe Hendry at Slammiversary. We're already long enough in this video, and I thought it wasn't right if I just keep going, and I didn't mention the current world champion, Nick Nemeth, because he is the guy, did I say his name right? Nick Nemeth. He is the guy that got me back into TNA. Nick Nemeth, just for how good he was, underutilized he was by WWE, that him getting like a chance, because TNA is like known for giving guys more freedom, it like opens up more of like their personality, more of the character. So seeing Nick Nemeth in this kind of environment, I knew I had to come and watch, and boy, he has proved me right every single week. The match with Josh Alexander, the match with Mustafa, the 6-man match where he won the title, his promos, everything about Nick Nemeth just feels great. I mean, yeah, going back to like that Iron Man match with Josh Alexander, that was really good. I mean, I was gonna make a video about that beforehand. That was gonna be my first video about TNA in general. That's how much I love Nick Nemeth. But I didn't. I watched the match, and the match was just amazing from top to bottom. The way he embodies TNA, the way he talks about it in interviews, the way he feels so proud to be one of the top guys in the locker room. He wants to push the company forward. He's happy to be with the company as they're like entering bigger venues like they are for Genesis in Texas. Is that Texas? Yeah, somewhere in Texas. Then one in January, like, and another one in LA. So yeah, Nick Nemeth is really helping TNA get like bigger stuff going, get the ball rolling for like TNA having one of the best years in a while for 2025. Also, on the topic of Nick Nemeth being a guy that entered in 2024, being one of the best signings for TNA, one of the best signings in all pro wrestling for 2024, we gotta talk about some of the departures that are already set to happen, that already happened, or we all know as fans that they are gonna happen. B-Ball's gone, Jordan Grace is gone, and now another one, the guy that was the face of TNA at one point, Josh Alexander. I expect Josh Alexander to be out the door in 2024 as well, heading over to WWE. So yeah, I mean, at that point, oh, they also lost Kushida, Trent Seven, Steph DeLander, I'm pretty sure. So with some departures, you got to bring in some more acquisitions. There's the word. So for me, what I would love to see is a guy like Baron Corbin. I mean, TNA has already proven that they can capitalize on like the guys that weren't really used to like their max capabilities in WWE, like what we saw with Nick Nemeth. Another name I would love to see that's already been on TNA before. He was like in that 6-man tag team match, like I mentioned earlier with Leon Slater. It was like a Slammiversary or Hard to Kill. Myron Reed. Is Myron not really working right now? I know he just had a child. I don't know how any of the top companies have not signed Myron Reed yet. If I'm WWE, I'm going after him. If I'm TNA, I'm locking him up for like 5 years like I did for a couple years with like Leon Slater. Those two guys are my young guys of the company. So Myron Reed, Indy Hartwell, Baron Corbin, and like some couple other guys I'm probably not thinking of at the moment. Some of the guys off the indie circuit, some of the guys off like the indie scene that you guys can probably bring in. There's a lot of people that you can bring in that could really help this division, help TNA go forward into 2025 and have a great year. Stepping away from all the positive that could potentially take place this year to the negative of TNA and what I want improved this year, starting off with the rush booking of matches on pay-per-view or TV in general. And a prime example of this just happened last Thursday with the confirmation of the Hardys versus Rascals at Genesis for the tag titles. And when I saw that, I mean, when I was watching, I was like, why? This happens so much. There's no heat for this match. There's nothing pulling me towards thinking that the Rascals are going to win this match. It's just like another fun match just to have it, just on pay-per-view, just to make the card look nice. I mean, it's just like a constant thing for TNA. There's just been, why? I mean, the big question is why? Why are we doing this? I mean, why? There's like no answer to this. This happens so much. It's like we have the Hardys on pay-per-views just to like have a fun moment. Oh, the Hardys did something extreme on this pay-per-view, on that pay-per-view. That's it, but nothing to progress the story, saying, oh yeah, this story was really good. All the Hardys title defenses on pay-per-views have not had good stories or had stories at all building into the match that makes me think, oh, the Hardys are going to lose. The Hardys, I'm kind of putting into doubt that they're going to retain or win the tag titles. No. It's just like a constant thing over and over and over and over and over again. And then when they do have stories on pay-per-views, they end up being garbage. I mean, like some of them, most of them, like I said before, end up being garbage on, and then they really aren't like worth the wait of like waiting 4 weeks till the pay-per-view. I mean, everything just feels rushed. Like it's just TNA has something. Okay, yeah, TNA. It feels like TNA has this thing stuck in place where yeah, it's gonna be the Hardys this pay-per-view, Hardys next pay-per-view, but it's just gonna be a different set opponent every single time. Hell, next pay-per-view it might be the Good Hands. I don't know. I mean, things just keep going over and over and over again, and it feels like things are just never gonna stop. I mean, where's the story? Just feels thrown together for the pay-per-view, and it just feels like a common occurrence. And on the topic of like TNA pay-per-views, for the love of God and everything that is good, can we make the pay-per-view shorter? Why? Why is PCO taking on AJ Francis on pay-per-view? Why? There's a lot of filler matches on pay-per-view that should not be there in the first place. TNA is throwing together 9 to 8 match pay-per-view cards when they have no right to be putting that stuff on. Stick it to 5 or 6 because not every story is good. Let's just be honest, not every single story is good. Yeah, they have something like the top talent spread out, but still not every single pay-per-view should be that many matches. It is overwhelming at times, and honestly, if I'm being honest, I fall asleep during most of it because it's just not really good. I end up having to go back and watch some of them because I'm just not really excited to watch them live. I just want to watch the big matches that actually have like some sort of story put inside there. Since I'm talking about improvement, and one thing that really needs it in TNA is the women's division. My goodness, I think I might have mentioned this early on. This division is so dry. There might be only like 6. I mean, there's like two to three tag teams. 5 single stars. I mean, Jordynne Grace is out the door, so kind of take one down. This division needs help desperately. The stories are just so bunned. It is beyond garbage how bad a women's division can be booked. I mean, it seems to be a common theme for women's wrestling in 2024. Not a lot of good stories, and TNA just follows the trend. I mean, they are like bottom of the barrel, and like they are really bad at it, and it really needs to get fixed in 2025. I mean, it's really bad. Since I'm talking about the women's division, I mean, I gotta talk about Tessa Blanchard and all the drama that is going on there, with a lot of people not too fond of the idea of her coming back to TNA after all these years of her being a racist. I mean, look what everybody else has been saying. She's spit at other women wrestlers, saying racial slurs. And this has caused like a hot topic with some people questioning, why is TNA doing this? I mean, it is a TNA move to bring somebody back like this where not a lot of people are fond of her. People are saying this is a bad move for TNA with all this momentum. But for me, it's been all these years later. It's been like 5 years, I believe, or like 4 or 5 years. People can grow. Let's just see if she's still if she is well behaved enough to help TNA, because we know Jordynne Grace is out the door, so TNA needs somebody as equivalent of the star power of Jordynne Grace. So Tessa Blanchard can fill that. She's like maybe more of a bigger star than Jordynne Grace, so I mean, it's gonna help them. People are talking about it. It's pulling numbers on social media, so it's helping it. And I mean, it's going to help the division more than it's going to hurt it in my eyes. So, I mean, I really don't have a problem with it. And, I mean, everybody has a second chance. Give people some second chances. If TNA management is like okay with it, the wrestlers are okay with it, us, the fans, just shut up and just be okay with it. I mean, what else is there to say with that? And what else does there need to be said? I mean, TNA running bigger venues. I think I might have already like glossed over that. Bigger venues, good for TNA. Just another sign of their big growth to come for 2025. This has also been like another point of discussion, like on social media, on whether TNA can ever recover and be like the second biggest promotion in all of North America once again. If I'm just being honest, I don't know if they can ever recover, because what makes TNA unique and stand out from all other wrestling promotions? Take AEW, their bread and butter is putting on banger matches of the year contenders. Take WWE, they're on another pedestal of their own, as they are regarded as the kings of storytelling. But when you take a look at TNA, that's where I'm stuck on. What is TNA's bread and butter? It's not the X division anymore. Ultimate X, no. Lethal Lockdown, that hasn't been used in a while. The 6 out of ring made them unique. They don't have that anymore. So what is TNA's bread and butter? Maybe it's like the cinematic characters themselves, like a Matt Hardy. They're not really doing too much of that anymore. So like, what is TNA's identity? What makes them unique? I'm really not too sure about that. I mean, if TNA can figure that out, I do believe that they can be on the rise even more, be on more of the ascent for 2025, and be even more of a bigger company heading into 2026. And maybe that can help them sign more of like marquee free agents to compete more like WWE and AEW. But I mean, what is TNA's identity? Maybe you guys in the comments down below can type that out for me, and I'll agree with it or disagree with it, because I'm really stuck on that. I mean, what do you guys think about TNA heading into 2025? Who are some people you guys want to see pushed up the card, maybe win some world championships? What are some things TNA does good, and what are some things in your eyes that TNA needs to fix heading into the new year? So yeah, with all that out the way, it's your boy Lonzy. Comment all your thoughts below. Peace out. Oh yeah, by the way, it's 2 a.m. I'm about to go to school. Yeah, the camera cut out for a while. I'm not high, I'm just very tired. So yeah, don't comment that down below.